We are finally back. Hey guys, Mulligan here, and welcome back to episode 7 of Eternal Errors. For those new, this is a series where we analyze my misplays and open up discussion on what the correct play is in a given situation. Normally I focus on specific decks for a particular episode, but this time I wanted to dive into some of the games I've played in the Eternal Tournament series, which for those that don't know is a community-run series of tournaments held by RNGEternal.com that are free to enter. Some of the best players in the game enter these tournaments weekly, and they lead up to playing in invitational tournaments, a mid-season major, and eventually a world championship. Most of these clips are from previous live tournament games I've uploaded for those of you who watch my content on the regular, but there's one that has never been seen before. This also means I'm playing Elysian Midrange in all of these games, for those curious. Let's jump right in. So the first game we're going to be taking a look at is against Mouche, who's on TJP Chalice. So this was from the tournament that was held a couple of weeks ago, for those that remember. But this is game 3 in our series. And I boarded in both copies of Rain of Frogs that I had, and I actually managed to hit Crystalline Chalice with the first one. After getting my board wiped with Harsh Rule, I drop a Titan to try and stabilize, and then throw out the second Rain of Frogs. Here is where I feel like I made a mistake. I chose to take away the 2 copies of Great Parliament in Mouche's hand, when I think I should have chose Scorpion Wasp, given the context of my hand.
Alright,
the Titans I had would have stalled the 4/4 Owls, and Mouche was at 6 power with no power in hand at the time. So it would have been at least 2 turns before he got 2 Owls out of 1 Parliament. Now, Mouche also had not drawn any Vanquish yet, so you could argue that taking the Great Parliament not only removes Mouche's options for later on, but makes Vanquish weaker since he wouldn't have flyers to take advantage of Vanquish. But I think it was better to deal with the more immediate threat in Scorpion Wasp, since I was running out of gas with only 2 cards in hand, and Elysian Midrange can't really go to the late game against something like Chalice. This next game that we're going to be taking a look at is against Paradox, and this was actually the very next round in the same tournament after I played Mouche. And this is game 2 in our series, and Paradox is on Mercano Plate. Now, the mistake I make here was not in the game itself, but in the mulligan. In fact, we need to freeze it right here. This is Paradox's sideboard. This is my sideboard. I don't know what I was thinking when I decided to keep this hand in hindsight. While it looks okay, the hand is slow to develop. My thinking at the time was that it's only bad if Paradox had the turn 1 Oni Ronin, which was the only 1-drop in his entire deck. But this opening hand has none of the sideboard cards I put in, which I think you have to consider redrawing for in tournaments, unless your opener is godlike. Turns out Paradox did have the turn 1 Oni Ronin along with a pretty amazing early game, and I just get snowballed right out of the game.
What? That's crazy. Of course. Of course.
Our final game that we're going to be taking a look at is against Rewind, and this actually happened in the tournament that took place a week after the one I played in where I faced Mouche and Paradox. And Rewind is on Felnscar Midrange. This is game 1 of our series. I do manage to hit Rewind with slow and put his Champion of Cunning to 10 cost. But this was a tough one for me because I couldn't figure out if I was still the beatdown or not when Rewind top decked and played another Champion of Cunning. I thought the 1 point of damage per turn could still matter if I managed to stick a big unit on the board, so I continued to attack with my Whispering Wind despite taking 5 per turn. I couldn't get anything to stick though, and every Titan and False Prince I dropped on the board got removed by the Annihilate and Death Strike I already knew were in hand, and the other Death Strike that Rewind top decked later on. When I finally do decide to leave Whispering Wind back, when I get down to 5 life, a top deck Torch blows me right out of the game. Initially after the game, I felt like I should have held Whispering Wind back to block, at least a turn earlier, but now I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to leave mine and Rewind's 90 card deck lists in the description below
I'm not gonna lose.
because I want to hear from you guys.
I will.
What would you have done in this situation?
Let's go into the
Was
story.
I no longer
He's
the
got He's
beatdown?
got attachment.
Let me know in the
Taking
comment
out
section
Elysian
below.
Midrange. I never saw them that game.
That's it for this episode of Eternal Errors. Thank you so much for watching. As always, feel free to leave a like if you liked the video. And if you guys would have handled any situation shown today differently, or if you have any ideas for this series, let me know in the comment section below. Feedback is appreciated. For those new, if you like what you saw, feel free to check out my previous episodes in this series by clicking the link on your screen. And also subscribe if you don't want to miss future episodes. Clicking the bell icon will guarantee that you never miss a video from me for those that don't mind notifications. Anyway, thanks again for taking time out of your day to watch this, and until next time, take care.